America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The harlot Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey everybody, and welcome to
Believe It
or Not,
the show where we believe it.
Or do we?
Nah.
Sometimes not.
I guess sometimes we can believe it.
Yeah.
But we don't believe it, you know?
And we barely believe it.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, barely.
Like
rarely.
5% maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But it's 2021 is coming to an end. I guess it's 2022 by the time you're listening to this. 2021 is coming to an end for us tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's it. Over.
No more 2021. And now it's 2022. And let us know what it's like in the future.
Yeah. Let us know. Send us a message tomorrow so we know what it's like in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How was your 2021?
It was all right, I guess. I mean, I know like most people, it kind of feels like we had the last 2 years have kind of been almost like a lost pair of years. It almost doesn't feel like time has passed, even though it keeps passing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a weird limbo I feel that we're all in.
Yeah. Yeah. We were just talking, you and I, about that headline that said COVID year 3, that it was like, shit, or pandemic year 3, how we're going into the third calendar year of a pandemic, which is crazy. Remember when we thought it was going to be 2 weeks?
I know. I was thinking, I remember early on, I bought a few things. I'm like, oh yeah, once this is over, I'm going to get back into this or whatever. Yeah. And that was like in the first 3 months of things happening. And now it's been 3 years. I'm like, okay, very well. I guess that's never happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, I remember that was one of the biggest topics of conversation for the first couple months too. It was like, what are you going to do when this is over? What's your biggest plan? And everyone's like, oh, I'm going to go on a trip. I'm going to, see my parents or whatever. And now it's like, that's just not even a topic of conversation because who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know what the timeline's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens in the next year or so. I don't know. It might be just having to kind of realize that this is our new normal to a certain degree, and then try and adapt within that.
When I was doing some pulling clips and stuff for the last video, I was watching a lot of videos about how long they've been trying to do create the HIV vaccine and how much because that's that one mutates pretty much every single time, because the COVID vaccine, the mutations don't happen as quickly because it duplicates, rather similar to what it is, whereas HIV, it changes every time. Different? It's always mutating, so that's why it's been impossible to create a vaccine for it. There's other reasons too, but they're getting closer, which is a really great thing for an optimistic thing for 2021 was that they are getting closer. But I was thinking that too, that's, what are we on, 40 plus years of HIV? That's and it's just about adapting and
Well, for that too, they've come so far with managing symptoms and things like that. With something that used to be a death sentence for people, you can live a relatively healthy, productive life with it.
Exactly.
So that just that alone is an amazing development for these people. But if we could have something that actually cures it, that would be ideal.
Yeah. And
but that might have to be what COVID is, right? We find ways to make it manageable, and we're able to deal with it. And maybe we'll have to just keep wearing masks and distancing, and then people can stop bitching about wearing masks.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just become the new norm. And I think it should be especially in the future. If you're feeling sick, even post-pandemic.
Yeah.
If you're feeling sick, wear a mask if you have to go out. I don't think that's, a big ask. They do it in other countries, and maybe we can just suck it up and do it too.
Yeah.
But speaking of COVID, let's talk about, we're doing a year in review.
Yeah.
One thing we talked about before is how the religious exemptions to the COVID vaccine have really fucked things up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one lady who she got herself ordained at one of those like online churches, and then just started creating exemption cards for everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, religious exemptions for things like that. I mean, I have so many issues with religious exemptions for most medicines, and I feel that more often than not, especially when they're using it for their children, I consider that child abuse.
Yeah, so. I agree. Well, it's like the religious exemption, like the Jehovah's Witness exemption for blood transfusions, and
and with like children dying, those people should be in jail.
Yep, so. Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another one too this year, was that the faith healing couple who was sentenced to life in prison for neglect, for not allowing their kid to die when there's like so many.
Oh my God, so much of that stuff is such simple things too, right?
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of times, just putting them on an IV drip would have saved them.
Yeah, I think that's what it was with this.
Like a saline solution, right? Just something simple like that. They're just dehydrated. And they're not like, it's insane. It's crazy the mental gymnastics people will do for their faith. And they'll just completely ignore the well-being of the people who are actually there with them. Yeah. Which is sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, this year we saw the rise of the Herman Cain Award, which is the award for people who were against vaccines or people who were outspoken against like any sort of mandates, and then they ended up dying of COVID.
I actually had an article from yesterday about that. An unvaccinated priest who thought COVID pandemic was a hoax ends up in the ICU with the disease. This is in the northwest Spain, an autonomous region there. And so now he's in the ICU with that, filling up a hospital bed. Great.
Yeah. Televangelist Marcus Lamb was a big one this year too. He died a couple weeks ago of COVID. He was anti-vax, very outspoken against any mandates. He was also the sleaziest looking televangelist ever. He had a sex scandal back in the day as well. Founder of the Daystar Television Network, which is like a Christian television network. He created that, and then he used that platform to endanger lives by saying that the vaccine was, I don't know, demonic. That was another thing popular this year, was people saying, because there's in some vaccines, and I don't even think it's in any of the COVID vaccines, but in some vaccines they have something called luciferase, which is the same stuff that fireflies or like lightning bugs have that make them glow. So that's why it's called that, because it's like the Latin word for like light, right?
Okay.
And because that thing is in some vaccines, they say it's Lucifer.
My God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these are also people who think that getting the vaccine will magnetize you, and things like that. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, watch this, man. The spoon sticks.
Yeah, because you're sweating.
But also, like, what? Even if you were magnetized, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, what what is that gonna do to you?
Well, it'll help you if you have to fight against Wolverine.
That's true. It'll help you if you drop your AirPods, because they'll fall out of your ear and stick to your face.
That's true. So
if anything, you know what? I think I want to be magnetized.
Yeah.
I'd be like Magneto. Sign me up.
Yeah. Josh Fierstein was another one. Remember Josh Fierstein?
Yeah.
He got the old vid.
Is this Schadenfreude? Is that what this is? I mean, I hate to be like taking joy out of people getting sick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, well, you're the people who are really trying to push other people not to seek medical things. So it's kind of like you're endangering everyone around you on a large scale. So kind of fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Also this year, Do you remember what was it? An insurrection in America.
Oh, I remember
Did you hear about
this.
this?
I remember.
Yeah.
This was just a little thing. It wasn't really big news, right?
Yeah, no, not
Yeah.
that big. Yeah, people waving American flags and Trump flags and Jesus flags walked right into that Capitol building.
They weren't being treasonous. They were doing it for the country. Trevor,
they were doing it, yeah. Plus, it was Antifa. It wasn't even them.
Right, they're American heroes, but not really.
Yeah, not if it's Antifa.
Right.
Yeah.
They cherry pick the facts when it's convenient for their argument or whatever, but then they choose to ignore it at other times. It's like, come on.
Liberty University had a big year this year.
Yeah?
They sued Jerry Falwell for him having that affair with the pool boy and him and his wife having the affair with the pool boy and all the stuff around there. Jerry Falwell Jr. sued them for defamation and also he wanted his stuff back. That's my favorite part.
He wanted his stuff back?
Yeah, like the stuff he left in his office and anything like he spent his own money on that was at the school. He wanted it back. And
oh my God.
Yeah, I think that one was dismissed. But yeah, there's also a lot of accusations of the way the school handles sexual assault and how they punish basically the victims of sexual assault. And
I am not surprised by that in the least.
Yeah, so they regularly dismissed or punished victims of sexual assault. And so a lot of people have come forward. And it's not just the students. There was a teacher, like one of the professors was arrested this year for he groped students.
Yeah.
And so he was arrested this year. But yeah, a lot of it, because like there's the honor code. So if you come forward and say you were sexually assaulted, and then if they don't believe you, then they're still going to think you had sex. So they're going to kick you out of the school for coming forward saying that you were sexually assaulted and other terrible things like that.
It's more of those mental gymnastics to justify their own awful behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then that way, if they do something like that, then it's not their sin. They were tempted into that.
Yeah.
They were forced into it. It was against their choice. Like it wasn't their choice. They didn't decide to do it.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
No consequences. No conception of like, actions having consequences or anything like that, or thought for anybody else other than themselves. Yeah. It's gross.
It's really, really gross. Was it this year or the year before where Jerry Falwell Jr. showed up at like a student's party? Like they had like a graduation party and he like showed up, invited them over to his place to do another graduation party. It's like, dude, move on.
That's insane.
Yeah. Freaking creep. BYU, Brigham Young University.
Mm-hmm.
This was the year that a big Mormon apostle said that they weren't being anti-gay enough.
Whoa.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, like in 2019, the valedictorian came out as gay in his valedictorian speech. And a lot of people praised him. Not everybody, but a lot of people were like, good for you. And then this year, one of the big apostles, one of the big leaders, said that they need to be more outspoken against those sorts of things.
Wow. I mean, this is very common. Like I found this one where there's a Catholic diocese in Michigan that says gay and trans people can't be baptized or receive communion until they have repented.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw that article too. It's like everything that's going on in your church, this is what you're going to do. This is your thing.
Yeah. It seems like, like from the article, it seems like part of it is also a pushback against the Pope.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I have my issues with the Pope, but, at least he's trying to recognize some of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. A family member sent me a thing where a couple years ago where like the Pope said that atheists can go to heaven or something like that. And I'm like, I mean,
I don't want to go to heaven.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really want to go to heaven. I'm glad this guy's giving me permission to go to his make-believe land. Like, I don't know.
I don't need your permission, dude.
Yeah. But the one thing that was nice about this year with the Catholic Church is like more and more stories of them having to sell off property to pay for like lawsuits and stuff.
Well, that was another article I had. Where was it? Oh, now I can't find it. Oh yeah, right here about U.S. Catholic dioceses receiving over $3 billion in government aid while sitting on billions of dollars in assets.
I take
Isn't
it
that
back.
insane?
Yeah.
$3 billion were given to the churches to help relieve them of this stuff while they were sitting on billions of dollars. So like the first example, it says there was one in Charlotte. They received a government signature small business relief program of more than $8 million, while the diocese headquarters, churches, and schools had roughly $100 million of their own cash and short-term investments available from last spring, their financial records show. And this is common all over the fucking place. So these people whining about not having the money, not having anything, and then taking government resources that should be going to people who are actually in need is fucking ludicrous.
Yeah. Yeah. All those PPE loans too, going to like churches so they can pay their staff. And it's like, maybe just we don't need that staff.
Yeah. Well, not even just that. It's like these people are getting this funding, and then they're probably still holding services unmasked in full groups of people. Yeah. So you're taking this money as a relief, and then you're just infecting the population and filling ICUs with sick people.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of the people going there are going to be older and at risk, right?
Yep. Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yep. Did you hear about the Catholic woman in Russia who sued McDonald's?
No, I didn't.
So she was pretty upset. So she's an Orthodox Christian. She wasn't a Catholic, my bad. But she sued McDonald's because their food was too good, so she broke Lent.
I did hear about that. Okay, I did hear about that. Right.
And in fairness, it is pretty good.
It's not, but it is.
It's.
I mean, sometimes you're just like, you know what? I want some chicken nuggies.
Yeah. The other day, on the 27th, I went to the grocery store to see our Christmas foods on sale, and there was a giant ham for like $7, and I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this ham. And I look at it, it's like 2 hours. So I just ordered McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, that's Cassie did the same thing. So we went to my family's for Christmas. We had a turkey dinner, and then we had leftovers the next day. And then she bought a turkey and made a whole turkey dinner last night again.
Amazing.
So, it was cheap. It was $1 a pound.
Yeah, it's so good.
Make turkey soup tonight
after this. Yeah. Because I only for Christmas I made turkey legs. Like I have I just bought the thighs because I wasn't going to cook a whole turkey for myself. But
well, maybe we'll make you up a plate, Trev. We'll swing on by, drop it off for you.
My stuffing was on point this year, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I made good stuffing. I toasted all the bread first.
Oh, interesting.
I thought I'd try that, and it was nice because like it absorbed all the juices and stuff, and then when you put it in the oven, it kind of toasted up again. So it's like these like.
Well, that's why you're supposed to use more like a stale bread. Like you can move it out for a while.
Yeah, because I only had I forgot to buy like the bread stale, those like cubes they have at the store, so I just threw my bread in the freezer because I wasn't sure how much longer it had. And then the day of, I was like, well, okay.
We'll just use that.
Yeah, it was very nice.
I'm sure everyone's interested in our
holiday
cooking.
It was also an awful year for abortion rights.
Okay. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It's never a good year for them.
No, it's not. And it's with that stacked Supreme Court, too. Yeah. So Texas does the heartbeat bill, which isn't really a heartbeat bill because it's not actually a heartbeat. It's like a little pulse. And so basically you can't get an abortion after you're pregnant. So,
but you could also sue anybody who tries to get one as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't even have to it's like, how nuts is that?
Yeah. Like if you drive somebody to an abortion clinic, you can get sued for $10,000.
Yeah, by anybody.
By anybody, yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a, what's the word? Shitty law. And
It's a religious dictatorship.
Yeah, it's like a
Essentially,
theocracy.
it's a
Yeah.
theocracy there, and they're just trying to control people, control people's bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I get they think that, again, we always get on the argument about like the sanctity of life and
Yeah.
all that fucking nonsense, but these people don't really care about the lives. They don't care about the baby as soon as they're born.
No, not at all.
If they cared about the children, they would be putting more money and working towards laws to help with foster care. They would be working towards things for education. They would be working towards helping newborn mothers and families with that. They would be working towards workers' rights for getting a maternity leave and time off. They would be working for like increasing education and trying to make sure that everyone is healthy and safe. But they don't care about any of that shit. They don't care about any of it. None of it. All it is about controlling what somebody's doing in the bedroom, and that's all it's been with these people. It's sick.
I've been following a couple like pro-choice TikTokers.
Yep.
What they'll do is they like go to abortion clinics and try to like protect women as they're going in from the protesters, and but they'll confront the protesters too. And one of them gave a very similar argument to what you just said. And the protesters just sat listening, nodding, and then go, well, it's okay to be a one-issue voter. Like, that's your response? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's not okay to be a one-issue voter. That's a terrible way to be.
Yeah.
That's how we get people like Trump in. That's how we get people like Doug Ford in. It's just it's such a head in the sand ignorance, and it's just like, oh, it's my way or the highway for this one thing, while completely ignoring every other thing that's happening around you.
Exactly. Hillsong Church, the main pastor, Brian Houston, was finally charged with covering up his father's child sexual abuse. And this is, not too long after his big superstar pastor in New York, Carl Lentz, was caught for, cheating on his wife. And then eventually there was some accusations of abuse about him as well. So it's been and then there was another pastor who had to step down at another Hillsong church for having an affair. So not a great year for Hillsong.
No, well, good. I'm glad that it's not a great year for them. I think all these organizations should have a terrible year.
Yeah, I think so too. They did, however, like I was looking up like some of the biggest songs of the Christian songs of the year. And they're still like, they have like 3 or 4 on the list. So they're still making tons of money.
They're pumping out, yeah.
Yeah. Joel Osteen. Did you hear about Joel Osteen, the story with the money in his walls?
Oh, I think I did, yeah. He's just hoarding money in his walls?
So a plumber finds $600,000 in the bathroom wall. The toilet's all clogged up. So he's like doing work, and out comes $600,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they called the police, but like...
There's always money in the banana stand.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, and because they had reported $600,000 missing, like at another point, like earlier. I don't think this year, like a few years ago.
So they hid it in their house.
Yeah, but they had hidden it. Yeah.
Wow. Did he go to jail?
Well, nobody knows who. They haven't proved who put the money in the wall, but it's like it's plastered over, like
in your house.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't in his house. It was in the church.
Oh, in the church. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Another funny story with him too is, have you seen the TikTok of the guy saying he's a piece of shit?
No, I want to now.
This guy is like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And then he's like, you're a piece of shit, right? And then Joel Osteen kind of like awkwardly laughs and walks away. That guy, it ended up getting the guy fired from his job.
Really?
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean,
yeah, I've been following some anti-work subs lately.
Yeah. And actually I was going to say that's a topic for this year too, is like anti-work stuff, but
yeah, I've seen a few of people being fired for not joining in group prayers led by the bosses and stuff like that too.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think it's more common, especially I think in the States.
Yeah.
I can't really say too much in Canada, but
well, when I worked at a major cell phone company, at in the call center, our training, like he would start the class because it was like a 3-month class before he actually went on the phones, and he would start the class with like, what's that?
To answer
well,
phones?
because it was retention, so you're like, it's
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like a month and a half of in-class training, and then you do customer service for like 2 weeks on the phone, and then you go back in and you do your retention training. It was a whole thing. But he would always do like inspirational stories in the morning to like get us going. But half the time it was just like whatever he read in his Bible devotional book. And it's like, I don't think this is appropriate. And
so I just wouldn't enjoy motivational stories at the beginning of my shift, regardless of whether they're from the Bible or not. If anything, they would just make me mad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't want to hear this. I just woke up. I came to work. I don't want to be here. Now I have to listen to your stupid story. You're not paying me enough for this shit.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely weren't. And that's the anti-work thing too with working there, was that you weren't allowed to be sick in your first 3 months.
You weren't allowed to be sick.
Like if you took a sick day in your first 3 months, you were written up.
What?
Yeah. And it's like, so I was sick one day and I called in sick and I got written up. And
what?
Yeah.
See, this has been something that's always bothered me with these kind of things. Like, first of all, we should have sick days no matter when you are, because especially now, we don't want people coming, which is still a huge problem. But the other thing I don't get is this, like, if someone calls in sick once because they're legitimately sick and you're writing them up, you're a fucking asshole. If it's a pattern of things that's happening like every other week, then maybe it's a problem and you write them up. But like calling in one time, that's crazy. It's such a weird power trip. I don't know. Yeah. Management's fucked.
When I was a manager, somebody called in sick, but we knew that they would always call in sick when they get a shift at their other job because their other job paid more. Right. So my boss, the one time she called in sick, went and just ordered takeout from her other job.
Wow. That's pretty funny, though.
Yeah. But I don't even think we wrote her up for that. It was just like, she's like, well, I was feeling sick, and so I called in sick. And then later I was feeling better, and they asked me if I wanted a shift. I was like, oh, okay.
That sounds like some, sounds like a roundabout way to kind of lie.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And sometimes, and here's the thing, too, with sick days, sometimes you just need to take a sick day, even if you're not sick, like, because mental health is also important.
Well, I mean, it's a big problem in like food service and retail, because that they'll always guilt you, like, well, if you're not here, we're not going to be able to do it. It's like, well, maybe you should start staffing appropriately.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's a big thing this year too. Yeah, especially with like anti-work and people. That was that one where it was like, it used to be, oh, you want to go to college, oh, you'll be stuck flipping burgers. And then a while later, like, oh, you're too good to flip burgers. And then why doesn't anyone want to flip burgers?
Well, not even like I've read so many things about people saying that a lot of people view jobs like that as like entry level jobs or jobs for kids and stuff like that. And it's just like, well, the reality is it's not.
Yeah.
Like, I think a good majority of a lot of people in those jobs are like middle-aged or older, and this is their careers because that's the only jobs they can get or the only jobs they can do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, people putting no value on these services and then complaining when they have to wait in line for a cheeseburger. Like, well, you know what? You don't want to think about these people as human beings or think they have a right to, a living wage.
Yeah.
You don't get to complain.
There's a Swiss LA by my place, and I go to Swiss LA like every Sunday. It's like, I don't know, it's my thing.
Hey, nothing wrong with it, man. I eat out way too much fast food, so I can't complain.
But every time I'm there, there's a Karen or a Karen, male or female, that is just being so shitty to the people who work there. And I don't know, there's something about Swiss LA Harvey combos that just attract assholes. And every single time I call them out. I'm like, nope.
Good. You should.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why people get so angry at people doing their jobs like that. It's nuts. It's like, you think anyone working here has any control over any of this? They don't.
They don't. Exactly.
They have no power.
Yeah.
I feel like this episode is either going to, like, people are going to love it or they're going to hate
it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Today we complain.
We complain. Another thing to complain about. It was this big year for cancel culture. People like freaking out about cancel culture.
My favorite. You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should cancel culture.
We should just cancel culture.
Right. It's canceled. It's done. 2022. No more canceling. Cancel culture.
Yeah. My favorite was that potatoes had to have a penis.
Excuse me?
The Mr. Potato Head thing when people got upset.
Okay. Right. I know what you're talking about. I don't think I'd heard it described as such.
Yeah, potatoes have dicks.
My potatoes have wieners. Or should. What about Mrs. Potato Head?
Well, that was the thing too. They were just going to make it interchangeable. You can just get whatever.
You can make whatever when you want.
And then they caved. Dr. Seuss. There was just so many this year. It was great. People freaking out. Another asshole was Josh Duggar. Was finally got his comeuppance. So I don't think he's been sentenced yet, but he has been found guilty. Good. So he could face up to 20 years. What sucked too is that I was Googling today to see if he had been sentenced yet, because I wasn't sure on the timeline of that. You searched Josh Duggar, and the first 10 articles that came up under Google News were about how the Duggars spent Christmas. It's
seriously?
Yeah. It's who gives a shit how the Duggars spent Christmas?
Well, I mean, that's a big problem. We live in such a celebrity-centric kind of world, and a lot of people do give a shit about that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of insane that we're still kind of supporting this strange uber religious family who was a breeding ground for sexual abuse. Yeah.
It was, I think it kind of split the family too, because I know his one sister testified against him in the trial, and then others testified for him or other family members.
How fucking insane do you have to be to testify for somebody in a case like that? How nuts, how ignorant, and just to close your eyes to everything that's happened to do that. I cannot imagine.
And the fact that they tried to throw that other guy under the bus too, one of his employees, they tried to pin it on him.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
Yeah. And the one guy that testified too, he was talking about how he kind of knew Josh Duggar, they weren't close friends or anything, but when he mentioned something about VPNs and hiding information, all of a sudden Josh Duggar was super interested in it and was asking him a bunch of questions and
oh geez.
Yeah, so obviously he had something to hide.
That I don't know why, but this is just making me think, was it Chris D'Elia when he was on that podcast and someone's just people can save the snaps and stuff, right? And then he had that what? He was caught out because he had all that shit with I think it was it minors? I think it might.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's video of it where he realized that people can save the snaps and they have that stuff still. And he was just oh shit.
Yeah.
That's what that's making me think of. Yeah. Similar idea, but something
just like that.
That's pretty damning.
Yeah, and it's not as damning, but there's the video from a number of years ago where it was they do the round tables of all the Oscar nominees, and so James Franco's on there, and Tom Hanks is talking about taking advantage of your position of authority or whatever, and then they went to James Franco, what do you think about this? No, it's bad.
He came out recently with some stuff about that. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I don't know if it was a podcast appearance or something like that, where he was basically kind of saying I shouldn't have done that. I didn't think it was, something, but I really shouldn't have done it, kind of thing. It just seemed like some phony bullshit to try to get back into it.
It's always
fuck that guy.
Those false apologies.
I've never liked them.
I liked some of his movies, but I always thought he was a little slimy.
And he is. So
we didn't talk about residential schools.
I was going to say that's probably something that we should address. That's a very big issue this year.
Yeah. Many bodies found of children in residential school properties.
Honestly, I think it's just kind of getting started. I think we're just going to keep learning more and more about this. I mean, this is not just a Canada issue. This happened many places, both state and church sponsored. I know a lot of churches try and separate themselves from it, but they were very much complicit in it. I know, like, the Pope took a very long time before he said anything about it. He avoided invitations to come speak with, like, leaders in those communities and everything. And yeah, it's just a really sad story.
Yeah. And the government's been so wishy-washy on it too. Like, yeah, they'll spend money on like digging up graves and things like that, and on memorials and stuff. And then, well, like Trudeau going surfing
to Tofino on the national holiday that he created.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, you set this thing up. The least you could do is be present on that day for the people who it's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
All it is, it's just posturing. It's virtue signaling without actually doing anything to help these people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just a tough one. I don't know. It's too many people have too much blood on their hands.
Yeah.
And we're not doing enough.
No, not at all. When you have communities who don't have food or clean drinking water or anything like that, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, and that's the thing too with the election this year, when Jagmeet Singh was talking about getting clean waters for Indigenous people, and someone was like, "Can you really justify that amount of money?" And he's like,
Yes.
If Toronto didn't have clean drinking water, you wouldn't even question that. If Vancouver didn't have clean drinking water, you wouldn't question that.
Yeah.
But
but a marginalized people who we've just continuously oppressed and moved around and had their culture destroyed and their people basically genocided.
Yeah.
But we can't be bothered to make sure that the people living there now have clean drinking water. It's it's disgusting.
It is. We need to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where to start, but fucking we need to do it. So
yeah. I did see one article. We're going back to more just like sad things, though.
Yeah,
so
that's
I don't know
okay.
if we want to include it.
No, let's do it.
Did you see? It was an article about sexual abuse revelations in the French church.
Oh yes, I saw that.
Yeah, they're saying more than 200,000 minors by clergy over the past 7 decades.
Fuck.
200,000 children.
Yeah.
Probably more, to be honest, but yeah.
I saw one article when I was like scrolling through about a priest who was fired because he had a relationship with a woman. And it's like, really?
What?
Yeah, because priests are supposed to be celibate. But it's like, so if he molests a boy or a girl, he gets moved to but if he has a relationship with a woman, he gets fired. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts on 2021?
No. No. Let's just forget about this.
Yeah. Let's thank some patrons.
Oh my God! Wow! Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming to our special New Year's Bible study, where we're looking forward to this brand new year of continued joy and happiness.
Yes. We're rounding out the year and starting off fresh, right?
Exactly. And speaking of starting off fresh, I just want to say a couple thank yous, and we'll lift them up in prayer. We got Deborah and Danny, or is it Danny? Deborah and Danny, Chris, and we have the Internet Gnome, and Andrew, and Ex-Evangelical Carol, and then we have Enu. We just thank you so much for joining us today in our Bible study.
Thank you so much. And I do have a prayer request today for our friend Elle. And Elle has been is a big heart for the neighborhood creatures, but has been rooting through the garbages, trying to find baby animals to rescue and take care of. And while we appreciate the love and care for the neighborhood wildlife, they need to stop leaving garbage all over my front lawn. So I'd just like to put that out there.
And I just have a very special prayer request for Brilling Boojum And we just really want to lift them up in prayer today, as we have witnessed them eating mushrooms. But it's always before they go through either really small doors or really big doors. And a lot of people think that it's them trying to change sizes because they've also been watching Alice in Wonderland a lot, and also playing Mario Brothers a lot. So just want to lift them up and hope that they know that mushrooms, although they are a great food, do not necessarily change your size.
And I just have one for our friend Julie. Julie, I know that the fridge down in the church basement is a communal fridge, but that is my cherry Pepsi. So if you could please refrain from drinking my cherry Pepsi down in the church fridge, I would really appreciate that. The diet cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper, that's for everybody.
Because you bought it by accident.
Because I bought it by accident, yes. So it's not really a prayer request. It's more just a common courtesy request. Okay. So thank you.
We'll lift them up in prayer, especially with the greed that comes with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily an intentional theft, but I did label every can.
That's true. You did.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for coming to our Bible study, and you know what they say: New Year, new me.
But we shouldn't say that because it's a sin.
Yes, that's true. Amen. So I'm going to repent of that really quick. Forgive me, Jesus Christ the Lord. Amen.
Amen.
And let's go into a new segment.
Oh, new segment.
You, sir, are a pepperoni, and you are my chump of the year.
So I thought we'd do this new segment. I think we can do it once a year, every year on New Year's.
Sure.
And I think it's in honor of Detroiters when they have their Chump of the Week. I thought we'd do the Chump of the Year.
It's a good way to do it. I like it.
Thank you.
Who's the Chump of the Year?
This year's Chump of the Year. A lot of nominees, but I went with a fellow by the name of Logan Dorn.
Logan Dorn?
Logan Dorn became famous for Labor Day for shaming women at the beach. So what he did was he went over and yelled at women at the beach, college students, for wearing bikinis, and said that his kids don't need to see, or the kids in his family and his group or whatever, don't need to see pornography at the beach.
Right.
Yeah. And so he was called out and went all over TikTok, all over the internet. Yeah. And he went, and first he doubled down and said that he had a holy anger, and Jesus, the Holy Spirit, came upon him, and he had a holy anger, and that he used to be addicted to pornography. So this was really hard for him to see, or whatever.
Then don't go to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. He also got fired after the video came out too.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and then he came back and he apologized and said, "Yeah, actually, it was kind of shitty. It wasn't done in the right way. I'm kind of." Yeah.
How do you do that in the right way?
Yeah, exactly. And then he came back out with a spoken word about cancel culture, about how he's been canceled. And he did this spoken word, almost rap thing about cancel culture. Wow. And why he was canceled by culture. So
yeah, this guy really is a chump.
Yeah, so that is our Chump of the Year, Logan Dorn.
He's a total chump. And if you ever meet this guy, you let him know that he is our Chump of the Year.
Yeah. Please let him know.
Inbox him, DM him, whatever you got to do. If you see him on the street, you let him know. Hey there, Chump of the Year.
Exactly. Well, folks, I want you to have a great 2022. Let's not have any more of the pandemic, so we can cancel that.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone out there can just stop it with this stuff already, that'd be great.
That'd be great. And
so we know it's your fault. We know you're listening, and you did this.
So
just stop it.
Stop it.
It's easy as that.
Easy as pie. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful time. Bye.
Work, Sky Moon.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network. Sonar!
Yeah. All right, Jagger, you gonna make some noise? Yeah.
Make some noise for the Believe It boys.
Make some noise. You got it, Jay. Joel Osteen, did you